doesn't love a good auto-buy list? Hey everyone, welcome back to Andrew's Wizardly Reads, and as always guys, I am Andrew, and today we have got myself Pub Auto-Buy Authors List. But before we get into that, make sure you are liking and subscribing so you can get regular updates from when I put out new content. And guys, we've kind of got two sections to this. To be on the auto-buy list, I must have read more than one title by the author. However, we are going to start with the On Deck, which these are authors where I've read one title from, and they could be moving into the auto-buy list in the future. So we're going to start there with Weavers by John Walker. Now I know, I don't read a whole lot of YA, so when this one was sent to me last year, I really was skeptical. And let me tell you what, he really pulled me in with great characters, a fantastic magic system that's kind of reminding me of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and just some really great tropes. Basically, he could have leaned into some tropes that he didn't. And for that reason, like, there was certain moments where I was rooting for character relationships. I was rooting for certain aspects. There's a beautiful scene in here that I constantly think about that involves like dancing and things of that nature. It was magical, and I really enjoyed this experience. I know book 2 is getting ready to come out, and so I am looking forward to reading book 2 so that possibly John Walker could move into my auto-buy authors list. All right, next up, also, I read this one last year. This is Winds of Strife by U.G. Gutman. And let me tell you what, this one is an emotional gut punch. This one, actually the magic system is based around emotions. And we have got some dark and twisted characters who have been through some stuff. And they are willing to make sacrifices to achieve their goals. No matter how dark and messed up those sacrifices might be. I do know that Yuri is currently working on the second book. And you can bet I'm going to be a day one buy so that, you know, if I love the second book, I'm probably going to buy anything that Yuri ever writes. So, yes, we have got Winds of Strife. Also making the list is The Seventh Cadence by Jim Wilborn. I really enjoyed this experience. Now, I talk with Jim 1v1 on a fairly regular basis. He is an amazing individual. He just started his YouTube channel, which I will go ahead and put a link to his first video up in the cards, because why not? Jim is a fantastic individual. And The Seventh Cadence was something really incredible. There were a couple things in there that I thought might have been a little rough that were kind of leading into the second book. So when that second book comes out, you can bet I'm going to go out and get my hands on it, because if that book lands, oh, Jim, I'm excited. So yes, plus look at this cover, that big old dragon underwater. Yes, please. All right, and then next up we have got Mark Timoney, Blood of the Spear. Now he could be moving in very, very soon, because I count novellas as a second entry. And I have got Starbinder on the way, which is his novella within this series. The Eye of Eternity, I believe it is called. And this is Blood of the Spear with a Felix Ortiz cover. I absolutely love this. And one of the things I will mention is I love when a cover is a scene from the book. And so that is a scene from the book, which should tell you that this is awesome. And when I talked about this one when I read it, I mentioned this was like the Eye of the World if it was written by Steven Erikson. And so I really enjoyed this experience. I can't wait. I know Mark is currently working on, I think, a progression fantasy. So I'm interested to read that as well. But once I read Starbinder, he could easily move into the auto-buy list. All right, so we have gone through the on decks. Now let's talk about who are my auto-buy authors. And the newest to this list is Tiago of Dala, A Touch of Light. And remember I mentioned novellas count? Well, I read A Prelude to Ashes, and I loved that as well. So Tiago, again, is another author that I talk to on a fairly regular basis. He is a fantastic individual, very generous, very active within the Wizardly Duo Discord, which you can find the link to that in the description down below. And guys, look at this cover art. I love this kind of orange tree with this just sword sticking out of the ground. I absolutely love this. The politics and the cultures that are developed within this world, and also within A Prelude to Ashes, his action, his characters' decisions, their relationships, all of it just slaps for me. I will buy anything that Tiago Abdallah writes. All right, next up, we have got T. James Kelly, The Dark Trials. And guys, I did an author interview with Bryce from Shelf Centered and T. James Kelly, which I will go ahead and link up in the cards. It was a lot of fun. We got a little silly, but guys, this is another YA. This is actually a paranormal kind of thriller style of book, which is kind of outside of my normal fantasy and sci-fi taste. I do read paranormal, specifically Drew Hayes, which, I mean, Drew Hayes is a given on my auto-buy self-pub list, but we'll talk about that because I don't actually own any physical books by Drew Hayes, which I need to change that. Anyway, we're talking about T. James Kelly. Don't let me get off on a tangent. Keep me on task. All right, so we're talking about The Dark Trials. Essentially, Hannah Church, in this, at least in this book, and I've read the second one too, and I really enjoyed Dante's, is just, she's such a fascinating character because she's this high school girl, but she's had to grow up really fast, and she's had to go through some stuff. And so there's a lot of trope subversion that, like, I was expecting to be in this book that wasn't in this book. Like, there's this scene in here where she's like, oh, you're hot, you're pretty. I got some stuff I gotta take care of. I don't have time for this. And I just love kind of stuff like that where you're like, oh, we're gonna be leaning into the, oh, no, she told him to go away. She's busy. Okay, I just love stuff like that. And T. James Kelly just writes such fun stories. All right. Also, a new addition to this list because I've read 2 books by this author. One physically and one on audio. And he should be on the channel at some point in the future. We've got In the Orbit of Sirens, the Chimeria cycle. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. If not, I do apologize. This is by T.A. Bruno. Guys, this is a space opera with a lot of great sci-fi, hard sci-fi themes, some fantastical elements, and it's just blended into perfection. I've given book 1 and book 2 5 stars, where, I mean, I'm kind of sad that I'm already at the, I believe it's at the threshold at the end of the universe or something like that. I don't remember the name off the top of my head. But guys, like, I'm sad that I'm already wrapping up this trilogy. I devoured this. It is fantastic. It's got a great audiobook narrator. I only remember his first initials. It's CJ something. But he's fantastic. If you aren't reading this one, you are doing yourself a disservice. Like, if you like sci-fi, or if you like Mass Effect, or what is it, Forbidden World or Lost World? I don't remember. It's this other video game, but this has got like strong video game vibes. But like, this is the struggle for humanity. This is what do you do when everything is lost and you've got to completely rebuild in a new home, found family, you know, finding love and choosing to love in difficult circumstances. It's just great. I love this stuff. I love it. I love it. All right. Returning to the list, surprising nobody, Daniel Barnett, Nightmareland Chronicles. I've got Longrieve. I've got My Hungry Friend. I've got a lot of books by this author. I need to return to his work. It's been too long since I've read a Daniel Barnett book, and that makes me sad. But guys, like, I'm like acknowledged in The Back of Lily, which is the first book I've ever been acknowledged in, and that blew my mind when I found that out. Daniel is a absolute gem. I love everything that this man has done within the Nightmareland Chronicles, which is so far 6 volumes with another possible 6 on the way. And I cannot wait to just read more of this man's work. Please check this out if you are into indie horror or post-apocalyptic settings. This is just something special to me. All right, surprising nobody if you talk with me in the Whistler Duo Discord or if you've been watching the channel for a while. Will White makes the list with Unsold, Cradle, Traveler's Gate. I'm actually starting Traveler's Gate next month. I cannot wait for Dread God. I mean, everything Will White does, it's fun, it's witty, it's just pulse-pounding, it's progression fantasy, it's great character work, it's fire turtles, it's dragons, it's Dread Gods, it's everything that is just absolutely awesome. All right, and then also making the list is Michael R. Fletcher, author of The Obsidian Path, author of just so much dark fantasy. Guys, this is just so great. This deals with identity, morality, toxic relationships, what it means to be evil, what it means to be good. Does intent matter? Just all sorts of dark themes can be found within Obsidian Path and Michael R. Fletcher's books. And it's just absolutely fascinating. All right, we've got The Iron Crown by L.L. McCree. I have also read Maroda by L.L. McCree, and I loved both of these experiences. I read the second edition of Maroda, which just recently got re-released, or I should say Maroda got re-released with a second edition. Sentence structure and all of that doesn't really matter, does it? Anyway, these books are full of just humanity, warm relationships, interesting magical creatures such as dragon spirits, airships within Maroda, some of the best dragons I think I've ever read. There was a time in Maroda, very at the beginning of the book, where you run into a dragon, and for the first time in a long time, I felt a sense of dread at a dragon being on the page. Like, usually I'm like, oh, it's the token dragon scene. I felt dread, and that was awesome. Like, dragons are supposed to be scary, and I felt that while reading Maroda. So, L.L. McCree writes amazing books. I have reached out to her. She should be on the channel coming up here soon, so keep a lookout for that. Then we have got my book of the year last year, Dragon Mage, by the author M.L. Spencer. I have started reading the Chaos series as well, and I realized I did a small Andrew faux pas. And basically, I read a sequel series before I read the first series. But the author was kind enough to provide me with a digital omnibus of the original series that was in that one, and so I'm going to be reading those as well. I love the character work. If you are looking for representation for autistic characters, look no further than Dragon Mage. The main character is on the spectrum, and I absolutely loved that. I loved the friendship that is built within this book. I loved the kind of thread style of savant magic system. I loved the dragons in here as well. The dragons in here are just majestic and powerful and just, oh, yes, yes. It is a bit of a chunker, but it's well worth the read. There's some small inconsistencies, but I didn't even care. I love this so incredibly much. M.L. Spencer is definitely one of my favorites. And then we have got the last one on this list. That I own physically, because of course I'll mention the other one that I mentioned earlier. We've got Zach Argyle, Thread Light. What can I say about these books other than they're great? Zach is not only an amazing individual, but he writes darn good stories. Voice of War was a solid 4 out of 5 debut. Stones of Light was a 5 out of 5 flawless sequel. I cannot wait for Bonds of Chaos. It's one of my most anticipated books of the year. So yes, Zach Argyle makes the list with just fantastic characters, heart-hitting moments, what it feels like to break apart a family, and then try and rediscover and reforge those bonds. Just all sorts of just great themes can be found within that story. And then the final author on the list is going to be Drew Hayes, because I've read 19 of that man's books. I believe he's one of my initial self-pub author reads that I ever read. And I will probably buy and read anything that man puts out. It could be something that is completely uninteresting to me, and I'll still probably buy it and read it. That said, guys, that is my extensive list of my potential new auto-buy authors and my current auto-buy authors. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you're liking what I'm doing, or if you want to support the channel, go ahead and hit that Patreon if you are so inclined. And as always, guys, till next time, peace out, stay magical, bye. And as always, I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons.